Good evening. Welcome to the March 2nd, 2023 meeting of the Southampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing in accordance with the Town Board's enactment of Local Law Number 14 of 2022, adopted on May 24th, 2022. Our next meeting and those following will be held in person here at Town Hall and will also continue to allow for remote participation. So we ask you to continually check the town's website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website. With that, I'd ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you who are here with us tonight, in case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Please do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall. Tonight we will be starting this meeting with the decisions. After this, we will move on to the public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it is their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you are having difficulties accessing the hearings, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another in the boardroom as it interferes with the recording. Tonight we have board members Helen Burgess and Keith Tuthill who will be participating remotely via Zoom. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking, other than attorneys, will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Before handing in any submissions to the board tonight, please make sure that the documents identify the ZBA application name and tax map number. The application name should also be written on your certified receipts. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, all of these applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a date to be announced after the hearing. Those comments can be addressed to the members of the board and sent via email, mail, and/or dropped off at Town Hall to the board secretary, Candace Cowell. With that, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Yep. Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, minutes are approved. And next we're going on to adjournments.
Okay. Adjournments as far as the agenda is concerned, item 7, which is 1240 Ocean LLC, the Braden Family Trust, in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-134-4-29.9 has been withdrawn. And then we're going to go to the decision calendar. The following decisions will be put off to our March 16th meeting. Michael Bluckman, Production Holding, Photo and Helen Krug Von Nita, and Lee Skolnick.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. I don't know what you got, Adam, but
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we open Grace Clark to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, reopened.
Okay, now I'll move to close it with a determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Then I'll move to reopen William Siegel to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tuthill?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, reopened.
Okay, now I'll move to close it for a determination later this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, so we're starting with decisions. We're going out of order this evening. I have a few. So I'll start with the decision in the application of Campo Brothers Associates LLC. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-205-312.9. This application is for a modest pyramid encroachment for a proposed dwelling on property located at 20 Greenway Court, Hampton Bays. The premises is located within the Aquifer Protection Overlay District and is subject to DEC regulations with regards to the northern long-eared bat. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 330-84D Pyramid Law for a pyramid encroachment in the amount of 610.36 cubic feet for a proposed one-family dwelling as shown on the survey prepared by Keith H. Beckman, surveyor, last revised January 17, 2023, and the elevation/pyramid plans prepared by Elias Caligaros, P.E., dated April 26, 2022. Granted, the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I next have a decision in the matter of the application of Richard and Judith Rosenberg. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-210-140.1. This application is for property located at 32 Cheviot Road, Shinnecock Hills. Applicants request relief to construct a proposed garage and accessory building, pool house, on a lot burdened by 2 front yards. Applicants maintain that the massing of the single structure will have less of an impact on the neighborhood than building 2 separate structures, since the proposed garage portion will be built into the incline on the premises so as to minimize any impact. In response to concerns from the adjacent property owner, applicants proposed a screening/planting plan. While the neighbor remains in opposition to the application, this board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed detached garage and accessory building, pool house. 1. Town Code 33011, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for an accessory distance from street, front yard, setback of 23.2 feet where 70 feet is required. And 2. Town Code 33076D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts. And Town Code 33083C, yards, to allow the proposed detached garage and accessory building, pool house, to be located within the required front yard for the principal building, as shown on the survey prepared by Gary J. Benz, surveyor, last revised May 31st, 2022, and the plans and elevations prepared by Tony Griffenstein, R.A., last revised January 17, 2022. The granting of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the installation and maintenance by the applicant and all successors in interest of the vegetation and screening, as shown on the site plan prepared by Tony Griffenstein, R.A., last dated December 15th, 2022.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
No.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Yes.
Chair votes aye. I next have a determination in the matter of the application of Grace Amass Clark for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 942-126.1. This application is for property located at 36 East Beach Drive, Noyak. The applicant seeks variances in connection with a proposed dwelling on a nonconforming lot located in a flood zone and burdened by wetlands. After revising the application to withdraw variances for an outdoor shower, sheds, some decking and mechanical equipment, the board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for a proposed two-story dwelling. 1, 330-84D, height pyramid, for a pyramid encroachment in the amount of 3,341 cubic feet, 1,812 cubic feet on the north side and 1,529 cubic feet on the south side. 2, 33011, Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a total required side yard setback of 20.9 feet where 35 feet is required. And 3, 33076D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 33083C, yards, to allow the proposed decks to be located within the total required side yard for the principal building, a setback of 5.7 feet for the deck on the north side of the property, and a setback of 6.3 feet for the deck with lift on the south side of the property. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Lester Holden of Squires, Holden, Weisenbacher, and Smith, last revised December 22nd, 2022, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Stephen Rossetti, R.A., first floor plan and north and west elevations, last dated June 20th, 2022, and second floor plan and south and east elevations, last dated November 9th, 2021. This decision is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including removal/relocation of all structures as shown on the aforementioned survey, as well as the removal/relocation of the AG gas on concrete pad prior to the issuance of any certificates for the dwelling.
Second.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Abstain.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I next have a determination in the matter of the application of Margot Schoenholtz and Gerald Pietraforte for a property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-375-213. This application is for property located at 46 Cedar Lane, Remsenburg. Applicants seek variances for a proposed two-story dwelling and pool on an undersized waterfront flag lot. The applicant here maintains that the variances are required to accommodate locating the house outside of the flood zone. This application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 33011, Residence District's Table of Dimensional Regulations, for the following. 1, for a principal rear yard setback of 71.2 feet where 89.25 feet is required for a proposed two-story dwelling, and 2, for an accessory distance from street setback front yard of 89.8 feet where 90 feet is required for a proposed in-ground swimming pool, as shown on the survey prepared by David H. Fox, Surveyor, last revised December 2nd, 2022, and the plans prepared by Salvador Iannone, Jr., last dated May 25th, 2022. The grant of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including securing an updated letter of non-jurisdiction prior to the issuance of a building permit.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Last one I have is a decision on the matter of the application of William Siegel. This is for property located at Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-134-449.9. This application is for property located at 227 Mid-Ocean Drive, Bridgehampton. The applicant seeks a height variance and for construction of a new dwelling proposed in the coastal erosion hazard area. While this project proposes new construction, it is on a lot that is already improved and proposes a FEMA-compliant house with an approximately 46-foot retreat from the current non-conforming crest of dune setback for the existing house. Likewise, the height variance proposed is less than what would result from elevating the existing house to the VE 18 flood zone regulations. This board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 33011, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations, for a height of 46.75 feet, where a maximum of 42 feet is permitted, and Town Code 138.7A, Coastal Erosion Management Permit required, for a proposed one-family dwelling on a coastal erosion hazard area, as shown on the survey prepared by Stephen Barilski, surveyor, last revised January 29, 2022, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by William Minier, R.A., last revised January 31st, 2022. The grant of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including: 1. Obtaining a coastal erosion permit prior to the issuance of a building permit and implementing any dune restoration/native vegetation protection plan required by the town. And 2, unless the regulations have been amended to allow the existing geocubes to remain, the applicant will obtain permits and will remove the existing geocubes prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the new dwelling.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Nay.
Mr. Tuthill?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any other decisions?
No.
Okay. Let me go back to the agenda.
Beginning of the agenda now. Item 1 on the agenda is 103 Company LLC, Richard Avedon Foundation, 9 The Bridge in Noyak. Applicants request relief from Town Code 330-146A, for land district, paternal, social, or educational institutional office or meeting room nonprofit for lot frontage of 50.71 feet, where a minimum of 200 feet is required for a proposed building with office space.
The board has jurisdiction. Pass that to Mike.
Good evening.
Good evening, Board. Anthony Pasca and Elizabeth Baldwin of Essex, Hector, Angel, Italia, and Pasca. We represent technically both the owner, which is 103 Co. LLC, and the contract vendee, which is the real applicant before you. That's the Richard Avedon Foundation. They have a contract to buy the lot, subject to getting approvals from the town to do what we're asking you to do. Just so you know, the Richard Avedon Foundation is a not-for-profit foundation that is dedicated to preserving the works of Richard Avedon. He was a famous photographer for 6 decades, and the foundation archives his works, his journals, letters, prints, negatives, things like that. And they are looking for an office, to build an office on this property, which is residentially zoned, CR 200. And we investigated whether it was permissible to do this. And one thing I can tell you is I think this is going to be the first variance application of this kind, because I think it's the first actual application under this code provision in the town. We read this section of the code, 330-146A, called a philanthropic, fraternal, social, or educational institutional office or meeting room nonprofit. And we thought it might work, and so we went to the building inspector, who interpreted that our use fit under that definition. And we went to the planning department, and they said, we think you're the first ones ever to try to use this. So that's where we are. Now, the reason most of the heavy lifting sort of belongs in the planning board's jurisdiction. They're going to be dealing with the special permit conditions and the site plan. But the reason we got sent to you first is because one of the requirements of the special permit is this requirement for no less than 200 feet on a collector street or secondary highway. And that's what we're here seeking a variance for, because we have 50 feet on a private road, the bridge, private road. So to say this is a one-off type of application, I mean, we're not only the first ones to use it, but the context of what we're asking for would be hard to duplicate. Let's talk about our, I was trying to figure out what is the purpose of this 200-foot requirement so that I could try to explain why we're okay here. And I'm not quite certain what it would be, other than possibly it would serve to protect some more quiet residential neighborhoods from having a less traditionally residential use foisted on them. So if you were required normally to use a collector street with 200 feet of frontage, perhaps that requirement would limit the ability to have these on maybe more private streets. But the reason we're certain it's not an issue here is because we have the full support of our little neighborhood. And I don't know, for those of you who don't know what this little neighborhood's about, there are only 20 residential lots that are serviced by this road. It has no through traffic. It's a private road owned by an HOA that is in turn owned by the 20 residential lots, plus the golf course, the Bridge Golf Course. So we have a golf course plus 20 residential lots. They are the only properties that use this private road. It's not accessible in any other way. We have, I'm going to hand up, I don't know if I hand up to you or to Candace, but we have letters of support. And we went through the neighborhood, and we have letters of support from pretty much every owner, including the HOA that owns the road. And so this is a variance that involves the road. We have a letter of support from the HOA that owns the road. I'm not going to read all of them, but I will just read one paragraph from the HOA's letter. It says, "We support the overall project proposed by the Richard Avedon Foundation. The archive will not be open to the public and will be a very low impact use of a peripheral lot. We are familiar with the foundation's activities, and most of its directors are personally known to us, including John Avedon, Richard Avedon's son, who owns one of the lots in the subdivision. We urge the planning board to approve the proposed site plan, special exception request, and the zoning board to grant the variance necessary for this project." So when you think about, let's go through the 5 factors for the variance, the impacts on the character of the community. This is the community, and the community has looked at this project, and although it's not your traditional residential use, it's actually, at least the way we look at it, going to be less intensive of a use possibly than a traditional residential use. This is not open to the public. It's not a gallery. So if anyone's wondering it's not going to be a museum where the public's going to go in and have the right to it's an office, and it'll have storage facilities, 3 or 4 employees, and that's really it. That's the use. The special permit process will get into it in a little more detail and impose a lot of conditions on, what we're proposing, not being open to the public, not having hours too late, et cetera, et cetera. So that part of the process will ensure that there's virtually no impacts on anybody, and certainly no adverse impacts. The property's kind of unique too, in that it's the first lot you get to. So when you come into the subdivision, you pass through open space on both sides that were preserved as part of the original cluster subdivision, and you get to this flag lot. It's a little more like a frying pan than a flag, but it's basically a flag lot with a 50-foot wide flag strip that's surrounded by open space on one side, the sand mine behind it, although that's buffered by open space there too, and then one of the other lots in the subdivision. So, that's what the HOA referred to this as a peripheral lot. Anybody employees coming to use the property are coming in, they're going to turn down this, and they're going to leave. And so the rest of the subdivision really will have 0 impact on this use. The fact that we have letters of support from the HOA, from at least 15 of the lot owners, in addition to the Avedon family and the owners of this lot, and there's only 20 lots, plus the golf course. basically this community all supports it. Looking at the other factors, there are no alternatives. I mean, if they want to put this use in this subdivision, in this property, it's not a collector street, so we would never be able to meet that requirement. It's mathematically a substantial variance because it's a 50-foot flag strip, but to say it's a unique context when you have open space next to it that's far greater than 200 feet of open space, the context of it kind of makes this a de minimis type of application. Environmental impacts, the only thing I want to point out is it's an unlisted action under secret. So when we were first approached the planning board, Anthony was the planner who's been involved in this application, and he had suggested that the boards just do uncoordinated review. I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it seemed like the type of thing that didn't require a full coordinated secret review. So you will have to issue a secret determination of significance. Any questions? Happy to answer them, but I hope you think this is as straightforward as we do.
So in looking at the application, this is, as you correctly stated, the first time I've seen an application for variance relief from this section of the zoning code.
We think we did Bridge Gardens.
Bridge
We did
Gardens had this too?
section,
Really? Okay.
Sure it's
Then
the
that
same
would be
one?
two.
I think so.
Really? Okay. But in looking at this, at this survey of this property, it seems to me that it's really the fact that it's a flag, access to the property that necessitates the variance relief.
That's right.
Yeah. So-
Because it does widen up. Well,
Right.
it's a large, it's not a small lot. It's 238,000 square feet of parcel, so it's not a tiny lot with, less
Yeah,
than 200.
Yeah, so if the issue is with the flag and the access, and you're getting variance relief for that, in order to have this use on this, on this parcel, I see it as pretty minimal in terms of impacts on neighbors, but and obviously all the neighbors are supportive of it. But other than that, it is a bit of a mystery to me as to why it's there. Yeah, but it's there.
So should I hand up these to you?
Yep.
That is this limitation in terms of the 200 feet. But in any case, that's what it is, and we'll see if there's anybody here. Anthony, you want to talk us a little bit about the secret?
Sure. First, the planning board did a pre-application on this, a pre-submission, and we did a report on that, which identified the various site plan issues that we would address during the site plan review process, but didn't identify any significant environmental issues that we would focus on. And so, and also didn't have any particular objections to the requirement, which is a special exception requirement. So it's not a typical dimensional relief that you would ask in the normal zoning code. They're seeking relief from a specific standard. I couldn't figure out exactly why, but a lot of times when you have these special standards, it's to have the ability to address, let's say, massing or scale or a streetscape or provide buffers, any number of site plan issues. Planning board acknowledged in this case low intensity, the use has low intensity. They have a determination from the building inspector that the use is permitted by special exception in that zone. So they don't have, and it's going to be completely hidden. You won't, with all the clearing restrictions in the subdivision, you won't know that it's there. So the 200-foot requirement just isn't really applicable in this case.
Yeah.
And by the way, this was a subdivision, the Bridgehampton Road Races subdivision, which this lot was specifically created with the 50-foot wide. So when we start getting into these cluster subdivisions, the lots often don't meet, some of the standards anyway. So,
Right.
As for secra, we did say in there that it would be unlisted. I would, in a case like this, I would do uncoordinated review, and I would then let the zoning board do it, because you're going to be doing it at my,
Recommendation, yeah.
recommendations anyway. So it had those planning board identified issues, then I would say we would let them do it. But in this case, I would do an uncoordinated review, and I will prepare the secret documents then for this board.
Okay.
Do we have a planning board report yet, or no?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, the only other thing I just want to mention about the application overall is that, you know, site plan with the planning board, most of what you're going to be dealing with is with the planning board on this. So, you know, the aesthetics of it is going to be dealt with there. So, in my view, especially because we have all the neighbors in support, I guess, unless there's somebody who's waiting to be heard, and maybe there is, absent that, I don't see a negative to this application at all. I think it's a positive.
Thank you.
Very much. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, first of all, I couldn't find it, although I knew where it was, but I could, the street called The Bridge is Terry Drive on Google Maps. So I don't know if there's any formal process for changing that, but, secondly, I just wanted to ask about the comments that were on your application. It looks like have you addressed each of them as made by Marjorie Riley? Natural grade?
Making sure that the measurements are
these
correct on the survey.
If you don't have that,
I
yeah,
thought we
you
did-
should.
I thought we did go through that when,
Okay, just please make sure that you have all of those comments
we'll double,
responded to.
we'll double check, but I
Yeah.
think we had gotten this and we did go through it. to-
Okay,
to
but just
make
double
sure.
check with Marjorie and make sure that
Okay.
she's satisfied with what's been submitted. And if it turns out that she wants you to make a change to any of the documents, you can
Absolutely.
just submit or whatever needs to be submitted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that I'm seeing spot elevations on the corners of the facade wall, but there's so many numbers here, I just might be spinning out of control. But nonetheless, please make sure that those
Will do.
are responded to.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Is there anyone who is here in the room this evening who would like to be heard in connection with the application of 103 Co. LLC? This is for property located at 9 The Bridge in Noyak. Is there anyone who is waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this application, which again is for 9 The Bridge in Noyak? If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
I see no hands.
Okay, if not, Mike, it's yours.
Good, so, unless there's any objections, we'll close the public hearing, and however, leave it open for written submissions until March 17th. So that's where you would ensure that you have all of those comments responded to and resubmitted to us, and if, in fact, we do receive them, we'll have a decision on April 6th.
Great, thank you.
Second.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you so much.
Item 2 on the agenda is Andrew Lockwood, 9 Tiffany Way in Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-50-1-4.6.
Sure.
Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for proposed detached garage. 1, 330-11, residence district table of dimensional regulations for an accessory front yard setback of 30 feet, where 90 feet is required from the west blue property line, Mitchell Lane. And 2, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83 yards to allow the garage to be located within the required front yard for the principal building and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Pass
board
it to
members.
Susan.
How are you this evening?
Doing all right?
Good, Heather Wright for the applicant. I'm here today with Mr. Maffey, who's the owner of 9 Tiffany Way. 9 Tiffany Way is on the corner of Tiffany Way and Mitchell Lane. It's part of the CR 80 zoning district, but it's located on the map of Tiffany Farms of 1986, and so the R40 zoning district regulations apply. The lot is 40,000 square feet, and we're looking to construct a proposed garage on the southwest corner of the property And because the lot is burdened by 2 front yards, that's essentially why we are here tonight. We are looking for 30 feet from the westerly line when 70 feet is required. I just want to note for the board, though, if this was a true side yard, the setback would have been 20 feet, and we are proposing a 30-foot setback because we wanted to at least respect, what a traditional side yard setback would be in this zone. We are not exceeding our lot coverage. Our proposed lot coverage is 14.1%. We meet the rear yard setback of 30 feet. And essentially, there's really no other possible location for this proposed structure on the lot. And the reason for the request is, for a couple of reasons. One, the existing garage is really a 1-car garage. I mean, you can kind of squeeze 2 cars in there, but it has 1 door. And I have a couple of photos that I can show the board, but this is what the existing garage looks like. So my client was looking to add a structure that could house some additional vehicles, but also can act as like a home office, additional storage. About 2 years ago, my client gave up the office space that he had in Queens for his business and sort of transitioned everything out here like everybody else, right? And, I can pass these out, but the floor plan of the existing house is relatively small, and so, the whole kitchen and living room has now turned into an office with papers and files and everything. So the idea here is to create additional storage space, have a place to work if necessary, and to store, additional vehicles. So, if we were to talk about the 5-part test here and the character of the neighborhood, it's our view that the proposed garage is not going to have a negative impact on the character of the neighborhood. And the reason being is because this is a unique location for the garage. It's heavily vegetated, and this aerial photograph will show you that the location of the garage is here. This is all heavy vegetation, tall trees, hedge-like trees. It's not going to be visible from Mitchell Lane. It's far away from, there's actually new construction going up on this lot right here, which is the lot behind, sort of right over here, and the house is set back here, so it's not gonna have any impact on that new construction. I did hear from one neighbor from 24 Tiffany Way, and I walked her through the application, and she did indicate to me that she had no objection once I explained to her what we were looking to do here. Again, in terms of feasibility, there really is no feasible location on this property to put this structure. And while mathematically substantial, I think the substantiality is really mitigated here by the fact that we are burdened by 2 front yards, which is a hardship, and we are screening. It'll be heavily screened from the road. And then finally, obviously there'll be no negative environmental impact here. This is going to have, it's a proposed garage. It's not going to have any cooking or sleeping in accordance with what the code requires.
Any plumbing in?
Yes, it will have a bathroom and it will have plumbing, but no cooking or sleeping. So, we're here. I asked my client to come. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Okay. First thing, I just want to make sure this is a garage, and is this going to be at any point converted into habitable living space for any
It
reason?
is not, and I had the discussion with my client, and that's why I
Okay.
pointed out to this board that there will be no cooking or sleeping. It's not intended to be living space. It's intended solely, it's actually going to have garage doors on it.
Okay.
And so it will be primarily for automobiles and storage.
Okay. Would your client have any objection to a condition being placed in a decision stating that it wouldn't be used for habitable living space?
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
And let me just swear you in just in case there are questions. If you can just state your name and address for the record, please.
Andrew Maffey, 9 Tiffany Way, Watermill, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Just wanted to swear you in case you wanted to make any comments, or there may be questions for you. Appreciate that. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Actually, I just want to clarify something.
Yeah.
It would be a garage and an accessory structure, which is permitted
Right.
under the code,
Right.
so long as there's no cooking and sleeping. So it will have heat and possibility of office use if he decides he wants to move his files and make calls from there. So I just want to be clear as to what we're proposing.
Okay, but that's fine.
Yep.
But just this way, if there's a condition that it won't be used for an accessory apartment, that means that
That's
he'd
fine.
have to come back if
That's fine.
that's in the future, and have to come back and convince this board or a future, whoever's on the board at the time, that will be something that will be acceptable. So, okay.
Yeah, we have no problem with a condition that it will not be used as an accessory apartment.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask about, and Mike, feel free to jump in as well. There is a 2017 variance for a rear addition.
Yes.
And I guess my other question is how it came about that there was the 2017, I guess, project for the rear addition and then now the garage.
Sure. I represented Mr. Maffey in 2017. That rear addition was granted, you have it right there, yeah, granted by this board for an indoor pool. And if you read I think it's in the decision, that was for specific health reasons. And my client uses it to swim every day for, certain back issues. And the board granted it at that time. I think now we're here because it's been a couple years later, and like I said, the office closed in Queens, and now everything is, and this is his primary residence, and everything is at 9 Tiffany Way. So the need for additional space arose at this time.
Okay. Is the existing one-car garage going to be left as a one-car garage?
Yes.
So there'll be that, and then the additional?
Correct.
Okay. All right. We did have some comments from the building department. I'm not sure if you saw them already, Heather, but I just wanted to ask you about them. So,
Heather, there are some of us that are just not, thrilled about variance creep.
Understood.
Variances on top of variances.
I understand. I think this might be a slightly unique situation because obviously the variance in 2017 was necessary for a specific medical purpose. Yes. And then, the additional space needed as a result of sort of moving here. But I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
It's, I think it's.
I didn't get any, I got these, but I didn't get any comments.
Okay, so all we got was, well.
Oh, you didn't get the back?
But
It's-
but there's
Yeah,
no.
but there
there's no, like,
really
range.
isn't
There's no real
actually,
comment,
reading it,
yeah.
just note 3 of the modification on this map. The subject property is located in the subdivision map of Tiffany Farms. Note 3 of the modification on the site map entitles the property to R40 zoning regulations. So there really aren't any issues there. Okay, all right. Any other questions,
Yes,
comments?
yes. Sure. So I went to the property, like you said, heavily vegetated, and would you also agree to a condition that the vegetation be maintained as a condition of the variance?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, a beautiful tree. I did notice two things. One is, it seems to be a driveway behind the property in the rear, whatever that, easterly, I guess it is.
Is that's the flag driveway?
Yeah,
running
that's a
along the
flag
back?
driveway, so it even separates further from the, adjoining property. However, I did notice that the fence, the stockered fence in the front on Mitchell Lane is 6 foot. And we have a prohibition against 6-foot fences on front property lines unless there is we generally don't grant those. So I just wanted to make a note of that. It wasn't brought up by the building department, but was brought up by me.
Well, certainly, in order to get any sort of permit from the building department for this
Okay,
construction,
so
I'm sure
just so
anything
that-
else on the property will have to be
And it
rectified.
has to be conforming, so if there's a non-conforming
Okay.
fence, it has to be made to
So just
conform.
alerting
or
you
removed.
that there is a
It's gonna
non-conforming
come down.
fence.
Okay.
I just have one question.
Sure.
In the relief request, it says 30 from 70, and then it's written up as 30 from 90.
Yeah, mine is not written up 30 from 90, it is 70.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
where the 90 comes from.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe just a typo, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it is 70.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
It was noticed as 30 from 70.
Okay.
I have a question. You're not going to remove that big tree there just to the west of the main house? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm looking at your, and it looks like you're going to squeeze that, you're going to put it in past that.
I think he's referring to that tree in the aerial.
Oh, okay.
Is anything going to happen with that tree? in
And
order
that's
to-
not really a part of the hearing, but
Which one
it's
is
just
it?
I'm sure
personal.
we'll
Talking
preserve
about
it.
the apple tree?
Is that an apple tree?
Yeah, there's
Is
a
that
big
apple?
apple tree, but there are some, there's like a pussy willow, there's,
Yeah, I see that.
a Japanese maple tree that's the specimen tree. that we moved in there a couple of years ago, but I wasn't looking to destroy any of the trees. If anything, we were gonna just move them over to the back property line. You know, because I have this huge exposure along the back property line now from the house that they just built. For whatever reason, they built the house on an east-west axis, so it runs parallel to my house. The entrance to his house basically is looking right into my backyard. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I
Well,
first saw it.
But we'll be fully screened in
But-
here anyway. and
but-
we'll try-
Good.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna move trees there. No tree is gonna be destroyed.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there anyone from the public who's in the room, in the boardroom this evening, who would like to be heard in connection with the application of Matthew? This is a property located at 9 Tiffany Way. Doesn't say what hamlet is, Watermill. Okay. Is there anyone who's waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this application? No hands. Okay. If not, Susan, it is yours.
Okay, so we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to leave this open for written submissions until March 17th, with a decision on April 6th.
Second.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard. Aye. Chair votes aye. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna.
Item 3 on the agenda is Robert and Anne Marie.
For Susan.
3 Benton Street,
that fine?
South, American Bays,
That's
Suffolk
for
County,
everybody.
tax map 900-226-3-14. Applicant requests relief from title Southampton Code 330-84D, Pyramid Heights, Pyramid Code 447 cubic feet for the proposed garage, and portion of the first and second story addition to the dwelling. And 2, 330-115D3, continuance for the proposed attached garage, a principal minimum side yard setback of 10.3 feet, where 15 feet is required, a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening, Mr.
Nigel
Sweeny.
Ramos, Williamson, P.O. Box 1758, South Hole, New York 11971. Yes.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and sir?
Robert Anzalone, 3 Bittersweet Avenue, Southampton Bays.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell us about the application?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Let me tell you what's wrong first. The carport was built without the benefit of a building permit, and the shed on the back of the property is going to be, it's 6 feet from the rear when we move to conforming
Okay,
setbacks.
okay.
Okay?
And the showers, and there's
The
showers
shower,
somewhere
yeah.
too?
The shower's coming out.
Showers coming up?
Yeah, yeah,
It hasn't
yeah.
come out yet.
No,
We haven't started
uh,
construction.
it's on,
Oh, I see it. How's the
To be
shower to be
removed.
removed?
To be
Yes.
removed. Oh, yeah, you can see it,
No,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We're just, we're also looking at the notes from Ms. Rod.
Oh, okay. And it doesn't conform to the 125, I think, feet wide lot. It's 100 by 200. But I did submit a single and separate back to
Yes.
May 1972, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my client is looking to remove the carport, which he's had to put his cars in and everything else, and build an enclosed garage, attached garage to the principal structure. And where 15 feet is required, and we're looking for 10.3. I know it sounds a lot, that it is, where is it? It is 31.3% relief on the side yard. And also 447 cubic feet perimeter relief for the proposed attached garage, and part of the second story roof of the addition to the house, which is a tiny triangular piece on it. And I guess that's basically it. My client does have a lot of cars, and he does work in them. And and that's why he wanted, well, his garage that he does have is basically a laundry room. Given the width of it right now, that's why he put on that's why he built the carport. So, I guess.
Okay. Have you heard from the neighbors?
Yes, we have from one.
Okay.
And I'm going to give this letter, and I apologize, I forgot to make copies before I came out.
Okay.
It's from the neighbor who was directly impacted by it,
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah. The
And
one
then-
looks like to the south?
To the south, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, if you read it, it's just, he's in agreement with it. He says we can go ahead and construct, but.
Okay.
you-
Not up to him.
Well, no, but
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
understand why. Not for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the way people interpret things.
Yes.
Okay, okay, so.
Yep.
Well, no, we all
We
interpret
understand.
things, yeah, so.
Okay. So I just want to ask, since you, and I appreciate you mentioning it, so the carport was built without permits?
Correct.
Okay. And when was it built? Do we know? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
Maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe? Not that long ago.
Okay. And who built the carport?
I had, I'm a police officer, I had a couple of my police friends put it up, but I was unaware of it. It's not attached to the house, and they built it for me, but I didn't think, I didn't think about the permits or anything at that time.
Okay. Can you tell us who the police officers were who built it?
No, I'd have to look at my phone. No.
Figured I'd ask. I mean, we normally ask.
Where are
you
the
know.
police officers?
Well,
You should know better.
Well, yeah, okay.
But
That
we
sounds like
do
a SWAT
normally
truck
ask.
outside.
Yeah.
That's the way the engine sounds.
Well, just saying. So, we want people to know that they're not supposed to build things without permits, and,
Yeah.
it's a carport. This isn't like a shed where you thought, well.
The shed is
maybe-
actually gonna be removed.
I understand,
Yeah, no, that's
but a shed, sometimes you can put up a shed in a conforming location, and you don't need a permit at all. Carport, you need a permit.
Yeah, didn't know that.
All right. So, but you are.
Sometimes they look like tents, like.
Yeah. That having been said, you're here to resolve things, and I do appreciate that. But, we don't want people building structures without permits, and so this is, my, kind of message to get out there, because you'd be surprised how often it happens. And then we hear these applications, and then, what in this situation, you're looking to do, something different than what is presently there. But if you were coming to, legalize a structure that was built without permits, it might or might not be approved. And if it's not approved, then it has to be taken down. And people take their chances when they choose to do things in that way. And we don't want people to build structures without permits. So anyway, enough about that. Pyramid relief is absolutely minimal, so I'm not, concerned about that at all. The setback relief, 15 feet to 10.3 feet. So not a huge, but the math on it would probably be about a third.
Correct, 31.1%.
Right. So,
But it's only 5 feet.
it's not like 5 feet, it's not like
Yeah.
zero feet.
It's a small.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
no, that's 31.3, I stand corrected.
Okay. Yeah. But, so the relief, in my view, is modest relief.
Are we gonna make it contingent on the carport coming down and then shed be removed?
Oh, that's good.
No,
That's good.
relocated.
Relocated, yes.
Shade is relocated, yes.
To a
It's
conforming
on
location.
it's on the
Yes.
It's on the-
survey.
Yeah, it's, okay.
Yes,
It's on the survey.
yes. So the carport's gonna be removed,
Not
the
the
shed's
shed, but the
shed's
other
gonna be relocated to a conforming location.
Shower's gonna be removed.
Yeah, okay.
And did you see the letter from the neighbors?
I think
So
it
there was
was-
just one, so.
No, there was just one, yeah, I don't know if there
Yeah.
was.
All right, well,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
If I send it down, I won't get it back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right, any other questions or comments? Is there anyone from the public who's in the boardroom this evening who would like to be heard in connection with the application of Anzalone, which is for property located at 3 Bittersweet Avenue South in Hampton Bays? Does not appear to be. Is there anyone who is waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this property, 3 Bittersweet Avenue South in Hampton Bays? If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this will be the time to let us know by raising your hand.
No hands.
No hands. Okay, if not, Helen, it is yours.
Okay, we're going to close the public hearing. We'll keep it open for written submissions to March 17th, and the decision on April 5th. And I want to mention, I visited the property, and I don't have any problem with this application.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, see you
Thank you,
tonight.
board members.
Thank you.
All right, item 4 on the agenda is Matthew Frey, 48 Hilltop Road, Shinnecock Hills, Southampton, tax map 900-177-3-31. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code for the proposed addition to the principal dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 330-11, residence district table of dimensional regulations for a third story where a maximum of 2 stories is allowed. And 330-84E, pyramid height wall for an encroachment in the amount of 241 cubic feet, and any other relief necessary.
Court has jurisdiction?
Good evening. I just have to swear you in unless you're an attorney.
Nope.
Not an attorney, okay. Attorneys, okay. So you can just state your names and addresses.
Sure. Matthew Frank, 48 Hilltop Road in Southampton.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and sir?
Steve Christensen, 206 North Richmond Ave, Massapequa, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, tell us about the application.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board. We are just asking for the relief required to add a master bedroom and a second guest room to the house. I understand that the building is otherwise conforming in total height under the code, and that there's a minor encroachment into the pyramid laws. I've got letters from neighbors on both sides, which I think should be in your packages. If not, I've got copies here, who are both in support of the project. So there's, I don't think much more to add, to be honest, but I've got my architect here to answer any specific questions that you might have on any of the other dimensional information. But simply just want to add a little extra room.
Okay, so it was noticed for relief for being a 3-story dwelling where a 2-story dwelling is permitted. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what this is. And the first thing I want to know, is it going to be a functional 3 stories?
Sure. So I've got photos of the adjacent home, if that depends to you or not.
Yep.
Right, and our home from the street. So as I understand it, we are basically a foot off from the requirement relative to the height differential between 50% of the average grade around the property to the level above. So I think it's really just a function of that calculation. The house next door to us, similarly has a third level and a functioning garage on the first floor. The grading around our home, I think, just was short by a foot to get up to that level where this wouldn't have been an issue whatsoever. So I think it's just a matter of that differential.
Okay, so you said functional first floor, a functional.
The garage is on the first floor.
Is there any living space in the lower level?
It's a finished basement.
It's a finished basement, okay.
2-car garage and a finished basement on the lowest?
One car, right?
Correct. That's the neighbor's house. That's the neighbor's house. Again, similar 2-car, again, a 2-car garage, similarly.
Okay.
And then the lower level, just so you know, has like he has his laundry room.
Right.
All that type of stuff.
Okay, but it's a finished basement. Is it for living space down there? When you say finished
It's a
basement?
den, yes. It's a
Okay,
den.
all right. So then we have the main floor, and then there's going to be an upper, or there is an upper level?
Correct. That's that is the main floor. Correct.
So this will be a functional 3-story house. Is that correct?
Yes. Similar to the house next door and a number of other ones in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we drove around. There are quite a few that are pretty much the similar
Correct.
situation.
And as you can see from the photo that I have provided from the street, you can't actually see the house from the street.
Okay, so most of the time, when we have applications for three-story residences, I'll tell you what we, or the nature of the applications. Most of the time, those applications are where, because of FEMA, they have to raise, the house has to be raised in order to comply with FEMA regulations. And so they have to have a lower level, because the entire house, the entire structure is elevated. And usually there's a functional first floor, a functional second floor, and then the lower level is not habitable living space. It is space that is usually maybe for cars, it may be for storage. In the town of Southampton, our code requires that residences be 2 stories, not 3 stories. In rare instances, we have had applications for 3-story residences where either the house was not pre-existing non-conforming, but basically operated as a 3-story residence for a while, or there was like a little section of a 3rd story, like a partial 3rd story, where maybe there's a small amount of living space in it, and those were difficult applications. So this application is full-blown 3 stories.
Well, on his, just so you know, so on the top floor, he has on the main floor, there is a dining room that actually will be fully open to the roof. So that's not part of, let's say, that 3rd story. We've done probably over 200 house raises, so I know exactly what you're saying, dealing right here on Dune Road. As far as the 3rd story, we've done many houses 3rd story. Obviously, Southampton is a different situation, but we've done those all over Long Island.
On Long Island, but not necessarily in the town of Southampton.
That's what I'm saying, correct.
Yeah.
So that's why he wanted to make sure that that middle was open to down below, because he has kids and he needed the space. His problem is, he has a pool directly behind the house, as you see. So we didn't want to bump out into the back because it will, affect the area. So that's why he pushed this way to go up.
Right.
And once again, they have older parents and that type of thing as well, so they need the additional space.
Yeah, so people are going to pay attention to what we do as a board. And there is a 2-story limit on ZBA applications. If we were to grant this relief, I suspect that we'll have 100 applications for 3-story residences, just probably in the first 6 months. And then another 1,000, and then another 1,000 after that.
Now, can you ask one question? So basically, like his neighbor's house.
That is, we won't be able to do anything else other than 3-story residences.
Understood. And to be honest, I don't believe that it's a story, right? I think that, again, it's the grading issue is what may have, which
If
triggers.
you didn't have the finished basement,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be this issue.
And you're putting on 2 more bedrooms on
No,
the
but I
3rd.
think it's also, it might be worth having a conversation with the building department, because also what they're saying is it's also the amount of fill that's coming out, that's
Correct.
covering up, if it's up to a certain.
Correct.
Less than 1 feet.
But that's
and
what I'm
it's
saying,
not
you
a-
might want to have.
Correct.
Technically, I mean, we've done things where people we see it, they raise the grade up, they get the survey, now it's not a story, So.
And we've had people.
He doesn't want to do that.
Well, come to us
Yeah.
and say 3-story, and our response is, talk to the building department. How can you change this application so we don't have to reach, you make a determination that it's 3-story because of the problem I'm mentioning?
Right. So when we applied to the building department over a year ago, right, it took them 5 months to get back to us with any determination. So it's taken me a year to get here, to be perfectly honest, right? And again, the differential between the grade right now, the basement is half buried in the ground. Everyone, as everybody knows, has finished basements. I'm not saying that changes anything, but everybody knows that they have finished basements. My neighbors had the same exact situation. Now, if they graded up higher and made that differential more or less by a foot, and that's what changed it, then again, they're getting treatment. And again, I'm not trying to throw my neighbor under the bus by any stretch, but this is no different than my neighbor. Literally is no different.
And it may be that your neighbor has no approvals for what they have.
Understood.
It may be that they finished their basement and just put it in, just like the application we had a little earlier, and, yeah.
Right.
And if they came in for an addition or something like that, this may be, the building department might find the exact same thing, so.
Understood.
Is there any possibility to find an alternate for this bedroom? I
You know,
mean, I know you don't want to go out by the pool, but maybe you have to take a look at that again?
It is a much more expensive, number one, to go out, and it would definitely encroach on the rear yard, right? It would make the house bigger and wider and deeper, so I don't really think that that's, as simple a solution. right?
On what basis are you saying that it would be more expensive?
Oh, I've got excavation, foundations, I mean, there's all sorts of extra expense to remove everything that's back there. The patio that I put in this past year, or refinished rather, took up brick, put down a paver in its place. So it would be a much bigger construction in order to add the area on, right? And taking the roof up and taking the footprint of the existing house and actually moving inwards, so I'm not going straight up on the exterior of the house, I think is a better solution, especially since the house isn't visible from the street. Again, I think that the height limitation we meet, right? We're not any higher.
No, you're not.
Do you have any other pictures of the house other than an obscured photo?
That's what he's showing you, you can't see that.
I'm sorry, right.
I
yeah.
understand that, but I'd like to see the house.
What the house looks like.
Sure.
Well, you can give it to us in a written submission. You
Sure, I
have it.
can send you. It looks,
Yeah.
it looks like the adjacent house without the extra floor.
Do you know if the neighbors have variances, or you
I
haven't
don't,
looked?
and I do not want to open up that
Once again,
issue for them.
just so that we're on the same page, so basically, if his grade was up, if he was doing something in the area and he raised the grade up, he's under the 6 foot, doesn't need sprinklers, all that stuff. So in reality, if he goes up, if he raises grade up, because if you're allowed to raise grade 1 foot and it's compliant with FEMA, 'cause they say it won't, change the flood zone. So technically, he could raise his grade up without changing, he's not in the flood zone anyway. But he could raise he could raise the grade up that foot, then it's not considered a story.
But what's preventing you from doing that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's
I
just,
Preferring not to.
It's
I'm
just-
preferring not to, again, it's all under, there's a deck across the entire
Yeah,
front
so
of the house, right? So to go in and put a foot of soil underneath the deck just to get around this thing seemed
so if you look at his.
inappropriate to do.
If you look at his plans, around, basically, almost around his entire house, there's a deck wrapping the house. Underneath it, it's just dirt, there's nothing underneath it. So I told him, going back, I says, hey, you could just go back and put dirt underneath it, because there's nothing there, there's no grass, there's nothing there.
Yeah, well, I'm all for trying to find ways to solve
Okay.
this, come up with a solution to this issue. And I hope you can appreciate.
That's how we- that- yeah, of
and
course.
I'm really not, it's not because of this particular
I know.
application.
I
It's when we have,
understand.
when we get the three stories
I
in, we
know.
scrutinize them, because
know.
we have to.
Understood.
We-
Again, completely understand.
Yeah.
What's the window situation of that first floor? You have windows that?
All concrete, or?
There's 2 windows into the garage and a sliding door that leads out to the backyard.
So if you were going to do the raising, I mean,
So it's a
No,
walkout
it's-
basement.
it's a walkout.
It's
basement.
basically, if he raises grade up around the whole side, because
Yeah.
it's the average grade around the property, that can easily be, because in reality, underneath the deck, he could raise that up 2 feet. You know, there's nothing there. He can bring it up just so that it complies with the code, so that the treated lumber is at least 8 inches, you know, so you could raise the grade up, whatever. He just didn't want to pay that expense, in reality, is what it
How
comes down
much is the
to.
expense?
I don't think it will matter.
Yeah, I mean,
Coming
I
up.
need to look at it.
But those are numbers that we
Yeah.
need to
Those are
hear in
numbers
order
that you could
to
submit
determine your
as
application.
part-
Okay.
You know, part of your submission, you could submit that.
This information on that. But I'm just one member of the board.
Yep.
But I'm telling you my
I
concerns.
have the same concern about 3 stories.
So you
It's opening
prefer
up a
that we
can of
just
worms.
raise the grade around
Come up with an alternative
house
to a
With that-
to then go back
3-story.
to the building department and have them
Use
say
your
that I
creativity.
don't need any
Don't
variance.
need the third story.
For
I don't need
the
the third story at all.
I'm not worried about the pyramid building. The pyramid
So
building.
if we did that, because then it complies.
Right.
We've done that on many sandy raises.
Sure.
So if we did that,
Yeah.
then would we be able to at least, just because he's family, he has to go home, he has to deal with the wife. So I'm here just
Oh,
to
blame it on her.
try and help.
No,
Because of the kids.
Just for the record, I didn't do it. I did not blame.
Because of the
did not
kids,
do it.
she's going to
Right.
have to deal with the kids.
You hired him to do
And
it.
so,
That's fine. That's fine.
So-
We can do that and
We
then
can
get
do
this
that,
all
the
wrapped
pyramid
up.
relief, no
So then we
problem.
could do the pyramid.
So if you can just,
Then
whatever
if-
you need to do with the building department to have the 3-story issue.
Okay,
it's
so
not-
then if we
not-
do
not
that-
where you don't need relief for that.
Okay.
Then we're good.
Then I.
We don't need relief for 3-story, but we will for the pyramid.
Correct,
It's
so
minor.
would we be
But
able
it's
to at
minor.
least get that approved, the pyramid under a condition,
Yeah.
so
No,
that he
no,
doesn't
we
have to
hear
come
the whole
back?
thing. No, I think we have to hear the whole thing, don't
Well, it's
Or
not.
would he be able to go on then?
No,
the
no,
next
no, no,
submission?
we need to be able to have a written submission
Yeah.
from,
Yes, yeah.
that you no longer need, and you have to be withdrawing the relief for the 3 stories.
we? Right.
Based on, you may be
Right.
changing the plans, I'm not exactly sure what
Yeah,
you
no,
would
Just
do.
raise the
We're
grade,
just
it would be
gonna
the same.
change
Yeah,
the grade
bring
on
it
that.
up. It was
Yes.
compliant,
Okay,
it was just a cost issue.
okay.
And then, because going out, the same thing, that's a
Where is
cost
the
issue.
sliding glass door from the basement?
In the back.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
right by the garage, it's right by the garage door.
All right, but
Do it around it.
Yeah, we've done
You know-
it, I
you
showed
know
him,
which end it
I showed him
He knows.
exactly
Yeah.
what it works.
Yeah, no, do you see where it says brick wall in the back on the survey?
yeah,
Is
I
that
see
little
it right
patio
here,
Yeah.
yeah.
stuff? Right there.
So basically, if we bring it up, it's fully compliant, it's not an issue.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate this, I know it's gonna be an extra hassle and an extra expense, but we're really, this would make all the difference. So, if
Understood.
you can make that happen. Okay, in the meantime, any other questions or comments?
Adam,
Yes.
I would like, I don't know which of the two gentlemen made the comment that everybody has a finished basement. I'd like you to rethink that thought. And that is, for me, not a very helpful comment, because it sort of hints like, oh, everybody could have the 3rd story, and it doesn't quite work out that way. And
Fair
so
enough.
I found that, and I am with Adam in terms of no 3rd story, as far as I'm concerned, and there are other methods for you to achieve a larger house, whether it costs money, that's an issue, but if this is what you need, maybe you have to think about it.
That's what they said, Helen, they're gonna
Okay, yeah.
revise the plans.
Yes, agreed.
And I would like them to come back, Adam, if it's possible, rather than doing it on the written submission, because I'd like to hear and see, right in front of me, what he is going to do to give it what we need to feel happy with.
Well, Helen, they're gonna make it a 2-story and submit it to the building department.
I'd like to see that. And we can do it by written submission,
Yeah,
Okay.
by written submissions.
okay?
Fine.
Okay. Any
So
other
in other
questions?
words,
Any
written
other?
submissions.
Written-
not coming
Written
back.
submissions, not coming
She's
back.
okay, we haven't decided that yet.
All right.
She's okay.
Well, I mean, if they figure out what they're going to do with the
Right.
building department, they're gonna withdraw
And the-
the request for the 3rd
And the building
story, and that
department
goes
buys into
away.
that.
We just have to
Right.
hear.
Correct.
And
Right.
we'll just learn that it goes away.
Yes,
Correct.
yes, and there'll be revised documents
Yes.
submitted to us,
Correct.
you know, just
Right.
indicating that it will be.
Thank you.
It will not be a 3-story dwelling. Okay, so, is there anyone who's waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this application, the application of Frank for property located at 48 Hilltop Road in Shinnecock Hills? If you were waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand. Charlie?
It's always that awkward silence.
I think that means no.
Charlie?
I think Charlie is.
You fall asleep?
I don't know.
You wanna knock it out?
I don't think so.
Something good?
Don't say that.
Bathroom break.
Yeah, yeah.
Bathroom break.
Knock.
We just have to wait, make sure there isn't anybody else.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nobody on Zoom? Okay, all right, then I will move. No one on Zoom. Thank you, Charlie. Okay, so I will move that we close the application this evening except for written submissions, per our discussions. And the deadline for written submissions is March 17th, and we will have a decision ready at our April 6th meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill. Chair votes aye. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your night.
Have a nice night.
Keith, you're very quiet tonight.
See what happens when I'm not there? Item 500, is Caitlin Ryan, Robert Perez, and Eileen H.P. 6 Jagger Lane in West Hampton. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 230-84, clearing the law for the proposed encroachment in the amount of 104 cubic feet for the proposed lifting of a detached garage and a conversion of said garage into an accessory building, pool house/cabana, a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary. Tax map number, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that, it's 900-382-1-61.
Board has jurisdiction.
Okay, is there anyone on Zoom in connection with this application?
I have, okay, I got one.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay.
They come in.
Okay, thank you.
Just hit me. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, hi. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Doing
Sorry, we had
okay.
trouble with the microphone.
That's all right. So whenever you're ready, I just have to swear you both in unless you're attorneys.
Nope, we're not.
Okay, if you can state your names and addresses for the record, please.
And my name is Fred Weiss, 33 Elizabeth Way. And
Deborah Passy, 33 Elizabeth Way.
Okay, and do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes. Do you have two computers on?
Yeah, it's echoing.
You have to turn one device off
Yes.
or down.
It says Design Corp.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
So,
Still an echo. Do you have two devices on, or you just have one? Because this happens when you have multiple devices going at once.
It's like TikTok.
Live television.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you, but we can
Okay.
hear you.
We're having trouble here, sorry.
The echo's gone at least.
Yeah.
We can go without seeing them.
If we have to. We can proceed without video if you can't get the video going.
Okay, why don't we do that then, because we're having trouble with the video.
Okay. All right, so if you can tell us about the application.
Okay, so basically we're we have the existing structure on the property, it's currently a garage. We're trying to lift it, to meet the New York State and FEMA requirements for base flood elevations. Other than that, it's staying in place, exact location, no change to the size of the building, other than just lifting. And we're also transforming the garage to a pool house cabana.
Okay. The pyramid relief is absolutely minimal. And maybe, I'm just trying to understand the relief for the pyramid relief is for the lifting of the detached garage and conversion of the garage?
Correct, yeah, so
Okay.
basically the elevation we sit at right now is below FEMA CFE. So, we have to raise to the 7-foot plus the 2-foot New York State, freeboard.
Okay. All right. So we did get a comment from the building department, which is from Arthur Gearhauser. And his comment was the existing detached garage benefits from pre-existing CO 80349. The existing main house has been demolished and a building permit has been issued for a new one-family dwelling. So the building department doesn't appear to have any issues. And from my perspective, minimal relief. You're trying to comply with FEMA, which we want people to do. Have you heard from any of your neighbors about this application?
We have not.
Okay. All right, then we'll just see if any of the neighbors are on Zoom. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Could you tell the board a little bit about the pool? Because I did hear that the pool apparently is not in a conforming location. Are you gonna make the pool conform?
So yes, we're looking to get some relief on the pool as well. We pulled the pool, the cabana from the original permit, just to kind of speed up the process.
All right.
But the pool currently on the survey, where it shows us an 18 by 40, we're looking to go like a 16 by 32, but we still would need variance for the front yard setback. Considering we need the 70 foot and we'd be sitting at around 55 foot. It would be in the same location, just just a little smaller.
Okay, but this wasn't advertised for relief for the pool.
Correct. Yes, we like I said, we took off the pool and the cabana originally because of the need for the variance, and we wanted to get started on the main house as quickly as possible. So we just wanted to mention the pool as well, during this cabana hearing.
Okay, but you need relief for the pool. Are you looking to construct the pool, or the pool is it already there?
It's showing the original, submission and the survey, and it was approved at one point prior. Previous owners purchased the property, and the new owners reused the same drawings and design, and the house went back in the same exact location as required. Same as, and the pool is sitting in the same location as well.
Okay, and this is a proposed pool on the survey, correct?
Or two sit in the same location.
Is it a proposed pool or is it an existing pool?
It's not existing.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should they,
And it's also-
should they
it's a
amend,
different
should they amend and
dimension on the survey.
Right.
and renotice?
Well, we can go about it two ways.
So that they don't do it piecemeal?
Well,
That's what,
we don't want
is there
them
any,
doing it,
is there
coming back,
anything
doing
else
it,
that
coming
is
back.
being proposed? Is there a second garage that's being proposed, or is it just the elevation of this garage and the pool?
There was the homeowners are interested in putting up a secondary garage in the future as as completion of this part of the project. Yes.
okay.
We're looking at a 24 by 24 garage
Okay.
on the.
They're gonna need.
Okay,
they're
so
gonna
so
need
we don't want to
setback
have three different variance applications, one after another, for the project, one part at a time. So
Yes.
if you're looking to get relief for other things, I think you should re-advertise and then come back to us with all of the relief, so that the neighbors are notified of what the full relief is that you're requesting. The relief right now is minimal, but it doesn't cover everything that you're looking to do.
You're leaving the.
Yeah, well, the garage is, something that's not a definite thing on the table right now, so I would hold off on that. You know, the only other issue would be just the pool, but,
Then they're gonna take it off the survey.
Yeah.
No, they don't
No,
have,
no,
they don't have
it's-
the second one on there.
It's, the front garage is
no,
on
we
the
don't have anything
survey
on
is
survey,
what
yeah,
they're
it's just the
lifting.
pool and
The
the
existing
garage.
Yeah, that's the existing.
I think we have to have it submitted with the pool on
Exactly.
there.
So, you know, right now, we're just looking for the relief of the cabana, and, you know, I think we'll just hold off on the pool and the garage.
Well, you should-
If they fully decide they don't.
You should discuss with your client the fact that the zoning board doesn't look kindly on multiple applications for variances in succession.
Well, and you can't have a pool house cabana without a pool.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think it has to
Okay,
be re-advertised. and submitted.
So if you're looking to have the pool, and you're looking to have relief for the cabana, I think you've gotta have the pool, and you have to re-advertise and come back to us for the pool and the cabana.
Yeah, and they should make a decision on an additional garage, and that should be part of the application as well.
Or not, if you decide not, if the
Or no.
applicant decides not to have it.
But it's best to do it all
They
in
don't
one
have to build
application
it.
process.
Right, they can have it
Right, they don't have
without
to build
building
it,
it.
but if
Right.
they want it,
They can get the,
Yeah.
Okay, the garage is existing, we're just lifting it right now
No,
for.
this is
No,
the
we're talking
second
about the
garage.
second
Second
garage
garage.
you were talking about.
Okay, gotcha.
it's like Laurel and Hardy.
Who's on first?
All right.
Okay, so, I mean, as far as the existing garage, can we continue on with the relief for the lifting of, the pyramid?
I don't think so. I think it's all gotta be done at once, and I think you've gotta add the pool to the application, the relief of the pool to the application, and the neighbors need to be noticed of this. Right now, all the neighbors know about, in terms of the notices for this application, is for what we have in front of us, which is, pyramid relief of 104 cubic feet. But you need relief for the pool.
So, listen, at the very least, you need to revise the survey with the correct dimensions for the pool and the correct setbacks for the pool, so the board can re-advertise it for the pool and the lifting of the existing garage in its conversion to a cabana. Then you should also advise the applicants that if they want another garage in the near future, they should be incorporating it, because if they come back in 2 years, this board is gonna say, we talked about this. You lost your garage when you converted it into a cabana, and you never proposed another.
Okay, understood.
Additional fee, so the applicant knows there's an additional fee to re-advertise.
And there's an additional fee of like $300 to re-advertise it, but at least it won't be a new application.
And so you understand, the reason it needs to be re-advertised is because the neighbors need to know what the relief is. Maybe they'll be concerned about it, maybe they won't, but to just, kind of go ahead with it without the pool makes no sense to us. When the neighbors aren't noticed for the pool, they need to be notified. And we need to know what relief is in front of us.
Okay, so basically we have to, just get back down to, the town hall and, go reapply not reapply, just change the,
Application.
what we're looking for basically.
Yeah, well,
As far as adding the pool.
Okay, well, Candace will let you know exactly what you need to do. But yeah, the application needs to be re-advertised for relief that includes the relief that you need for the pool. And we need to know what the relief is for the pool as well. What the setback relief or any other relief is for the pool.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to move forward, but we can't do much tonight. I'm gonna see if there are there's anyone on Zoom waiting to be heard, but presuming that there isn't anyone, then we were just gonna have you re-advertise and come back.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Any other questions, comments? Is there anyone who's waiting to be heard on Zoom, because there's no one in the boardroom in connection with this application, which is the application of Velez and O'Keefe for property at 6 Jagger Lane in West Hampton? If you are waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand. No hands. Okay.
So, okay, what are we gonna do?
All right, so we just have to now figure out a date.
Leave it open, right?
We gotta have to have a date, David, to
Hold it
re-advertise.
open till.
Yeah, and they're gonna re-advertise. Yeah.
Let me just ask a question. Fred, how long do you think it'll take for you to have the survey revised with the new size of the pool and the setback for the pool? And then possibly the garage if your client decides they want to do that?
I could probably have that done within the week.
Okay. So, I mean, the earliest I can advertise it for would be the April 6th meeting.
Okay, all
We
right,
already did March 16th, so.
okay. Yeah, too late for
All
my
right, so we're gonna hold it open to April 6th for re-advertising?
Yep.
No, it has to be
April 6th.
re-advertised. So
Well,
come
the
back to us on
re-advertising,
April 6th.
that's right, but we do a vote on it, so it will be a motion to re-advertise, and Bob,
Okay.
it's yours, so.
April 6th.
So, motion to re-advertise,
Yep.
April 6th.
April 6th, continuation of public hearing, April 6th.
Second.
Okay, all right. Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Curran?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Burtis?
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, Fred, have a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys, appreciate it.
No problem, take care.
Item 6 on the agenda is Dean W. Fantastic, 143 South Road in West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-376-1-29. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 230-6, General Regulations, that references 330-11, Residence District Table of Dimensional Regulations, as follows for a proposed two-lot land subdivision. Lot number 1, lot area from the required 40,000 square feet to 30,274 square feet. Lot 2, lot area from the required 40,000 square feet to 29,757 square feet. And lot width from the required 150 feet to plus or minus 134 feet. Any other relief necessary?
The board has jurisdiction. Pass that to John.
Good evening, is, Jim, are you on, for the applicant? Okay. Yep.
Okay, good evening. If you can, hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you and we can see you.
Okay, so for the applicant, James and you, 323 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach. Let me share my screen here. Oops. So can you, do you see the survey now?
We do.
Okay, so I'm here on behalf of Dean Van Tassel, who is the current owner of property located at 143 South Road in West Hampton Beach. The lot is currently a single lot of a little over 60,000 square feet, located in the town's R40 zoning. The property right now is improved with a one-story frame dwelling and a one-story cabana with deck. The cabana contains office space, bedroom, a small kitchenette, and a fireplace. Although the current owner, Mr. Van Tassel, relatively recently acquired title to the property has been in his family since 1970 or 71, when his mother first purchased the property. Since that time, it's been transferred for no consideration, I believe, within the family to a trust, to an estate, and then ultimately to my client as the heir of that estate. At the time that the property first passed into the Van Tassel ownership, it was not zoned R40, it was zoned B residential, 25,000 square feet. As indicated, what we're proposing is a two-lot subdivision of this property with an average lot size of 30,016 square feet. One of the lots is slightly larger than that, and the other lot is slightly less than that. And for whatever it's worth, those lots would have been in compliance with the pre-1960 72 zoning requirements. It was 1972, I believe, when this area was upzoned from B zoning to the current R40 zoning. Just to get a little context as to where this all sits, here's an aerial photograph of the property outlined in yellow or orange, depending on which point of view, I guess, is the property itself. And you can see the surrounding neighborhoods. As you can see, the lot as it currently exists is quite oversized relative to many of the surrounding lots. Many of those lots were created in the pre-1972 subdivisions, which I have highlighted in this map. The property in question is over here. And as you can see, there were a number of subdivisions over time, reducing the overall property size in the vicinity to something less than the full acre that's now required in this zone. In fact, in looking at a number of the properties in the vicinity, I don't think any of them actually meet the full acre requirement. And to drill down on that a little bit, I did take a brief review through the GIS. There's this South Meadow huge subdivision that was actually back in 1966, and the average lot size there is half an acre. What we're proposing is just slightly shy on average of 0.7 of an acre. As you can see across the street, we have 0.5 acres along the road next to us, 0.5. The other to the west of us, a little bit larger, but as I said, we're approximately 0.7. And you can see there are some larger lots in the area, but none of them are the full acre, as indicated. The one of the subdivisions that I wanted to highlight is this subdivision that was granted subdivision relief in 2023, but is pursuant to a variance that was granted in 2015, and that's the Sean Dunn property located at 42 of Hawcock Point Road. As you can see, that application was a 59,000 square foot lot, just slightly smaller than our lot. That was divided into two lots pursuant to the zoning variance of an average lot size of 29,000, almost 30,000 square feet. And the basis for that, the granting of that variance in 2015 is similar to the case that I'm trying to make here, and that is that the if you read specifically in paragraph, the area, she points out, it was pointed out in the decision that this area was originally zoned B residential with 25,000 square foot lots. A number of lots were created rezoning, but the upshot is that the neighborhood is really a neighborhood of lots that are significantly smaller than the 40,000 that's required, and very comparable to the lot size that we're seeking for this subdivision. So that's basically my presentation.
Okay. So looking at the survey, I understand that you're trying to make Lot 1 and Lot 2 similar in square footage, similar in size. You didn't want one or the other of them to be too small. But, it did occur to me that if Lot 2 was a little bit bigger, then you wouldn't need the lot width relief. But
that's true, but then we would probably need setback relief.
Exactly.
Yeah. For the house.
Right.
And the
I don't know which is more important.
Yep. Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention it.
But we thought about that, and the subdivision was designed with seeking the minimum number of variances.
Yeah,
and trading off one for another, I'm not sure.
Right.
If it's a forward or a step backward.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you could do like a triangle, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, I'm just really kind of
Right.
pointing out my observations about that. I mean, you could do a triangle rather than doing all of lot one, a sliver of lot one, so that you have more lot width, but.
That's possible, but I think zoning likes rectangles and squares, and so we've kind of stayed with that point of view.
Okay, well, and the lot width relief
In fact,
is,
I believe it, not that this is applicable at all, but I believe in the village of West Hampton Beach, that zoning ordinance actually emphasizes that parallel lot lines and squares and rectangles and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That's not in the town zoning code, but just as a reflection of what some may think is appropriate zoning.
Yeah, well, and the flip side of it is, from my perspective, is the fact that the residences in the vicinity are of similar size to what's being proposed, number one, and number two, the fact that we have granted this type of relief, including lot width relief, fairly regularly on subdivision applications, it is persuasive to me, and it does not appear to be out of character with the surrounding community. Have you heard from any of the neighbors on this application? Jim? Have you heard from any of the neighbors?
Jim?
I don't think he can hear us.
Oh, I think you're muted, maybe?
Have you heard from any of the neighbors, Jim?
Have you lost me?
Yes.
We just got you back.
I think we lost them, Jim.
Okay.
Oh,
So the question was whether you've heard from any of the neighbors.
Anyhow, I don't have any problem with this application. I'm gonna be honest.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
No.
No.
Somebody tell Charlie we can't hear nothing that's going on.
Nothing I can do
Jim
unless I
can't
go
hear
to his
Jim.
house.
Can you hear us? Adam, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does this require a transfer development right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's
That's an additional
an
element.
additional element.
Can't hear anything.
Really?
Get bored.
All right, well, something happened with the connection.
Well, yeah, I have some questions, so I don't know if he should call back or.
Well, we can hear him, so.
Yeah, but he can't hear the questions.
Yeah.
Keith,
It's gotta be on his end.
And Helen's in the matrix.
Keith,
Kate.
I don't think anybody can hear us.
Keith? Keith? Can you
Yes.
hear? So what are we doing now?
I don't know. I'm trying to get their attention.
If they can hear, then it's not us.
Okay, can anybody hear us?
Sounds like he's calling in.
I can hear you, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
All right.
now you can.
Okay, so we have some more questions for you, Jim.
Sure.
Okay, first question is, have you heard from any of the neighbors?
No.
Okay. Mike, you had some questions?
Yeah, has the owner expressed his or her intent around why they want to subdivide this?
Well, certainly two lots are more valuable than the one existing lot. They want to preserve the existing house, at least for the time being, and have the ability to develop the property further with a second home.
Okay. I mean, I would just like to say that I would not look favorably on them coming back for more variances to put a 10-pound house on a 5-pound lot if we would do.
No, in fact, the building department requested that we put a building envelope on that second lot.
Right.
Which it should be on the site plan that you have.
Okay.
But that doesn't, but that doesn't prohibit a future owner, if they sell the lot, from requesting whatever they want to request.
Yeah.
And that doesn't stop us from
within-
denying.
That's correct.
I can't control future owners, and, obviously you would decide based on your policies at that point. But from the perspective of my client, if we thought he would need more relief for the vacant lot that would be created, we would ask for it now. So the building envelope that we showed, I believe, meets the meets the zoning requirements, and that's what our plan would be going forward.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Just wanted to have that out there.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I made the comment about it requires a transfer development, right? Residential, yeah, transfer residential.
A TDR.
TDR.
Jim, can you still hear us?
You're lucky night, Jim.
Yeah, really.
Jim, can you still hear us?
TDR, Jim, can you hear?
Well, the joys of technology.
Selective hearing is what I'm thinking.
No. Jim, we have a question. Just want to get you to ask if you could confirm that you'll be getting a development right, that there'll be a transfer of development rights?
I think that's part of the code requirements, so yes.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
And do you have a planning board, have you been to the planning board yet?
Well, we were supposed to be before the planning board we have an application pending. It was scheduled last week, but for some reason I couldn't get in, so
Okay.
it got adjourned.
Well, we have to wait for that referral report.
Right. Okay.
My only comment is that I did visit the site, and the subdivision would be in character with the rest of the community. The lots are all approximately the same size.
Yeah.
And then Jim, the notes say that you need to just, I don't know if you've already done it, but you need to revise the survey for the lot width, I believe.
Yeah.
I'll have to, I'll look, I'll certainly do that.
Yeah,
if
just
I
look at the
haven't
notes,
already.
there's two of them.
Yep. And Arthur Gerhauser was the person who wrote it up. So
Okay.
definitely reach out to him. Okay.
Will do.
Any other questions or comments? Anthony, do you want to say anything about this application?
I was not aware. I knew that the hearing was scheduled, so we'll have a hearing. We'll prepare a report. Be very similar to Sean done, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So it'll be a type 2 action in this case, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. Unless there are any other questions, is there anyone who's waiting to be heard on Zoom in connection with this application? This is the application of Van Tassel for property located at 143 South Road in West Hampton. If you're waiting to be heard on Zoom, this would be the time to let us know by raising your hand. No hands. Okay, if not, John, it is yours.
So are we holding it open?
Yeah,
We'll close it. And then,
We'll close it with written submission.
Okay, so I move to close the hearing on this application. Direct that written submissions be submitted by 3/17 with a decision by April 6th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio?
Aye.
Mr. Tuttle?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you so much, Jim. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. Good to see you all.
You too. Good night. Good night.
Motion to close.
Okay, do we have a second to close?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.